Might end up posting this on YouTube. If you are getting your little fingers ready to type a comment about me doing my makeup and about how it's a tool of the patriarchy or some stupid shit, let's just not. Okay, I think my stance on makeup as a feminist, if y'all really want to know so bad. Thank you so much, Jacoya, for saying that. Jacoya says, loved your new podcast episode. Probably one of my favorite episodes so far. Just because we had Public on and we can really yap with Public. It was awesome. Okay, lots of questions. Hi, I promise I'll try to get to all of them. So yeah, in case anyone was getting their little fingers ready to type a comment about me doing my makeup as a feminist, or like, why are you always playing with your makeup? Please do us all a favor and just shut the fuck up. My stance on makeup as a feminist is that it's fun, and I think men should do it. I think women would do makeup if it weren't for men. I think women are just fun and creative and smart like that. Like, I don't know. I fear we're like artistic like that. It's fun. It's fun to do your makeup, okay? I'll say it. I like it. I grew up a tomboy. I didn't really indulge in a lot of, girly things when I was little because I was convinced that I was a boy in a girl's body. So I kind of missed the boat on that stuff, and now I'm enjoying it. Like, what do y'all want from me? There is also the reality that I get treated better when I have makeup on. So why wouldn't I do it? Yeah, I get treated better by both men and women when I have makeup on. Why wouldn't I do it? Kind of like wearing a cute outfit. Sure, I could just put on a potato sack every day and go outside and be like, oh, my body's beautiful, it doesn't need clothes. But like, what's the point? We're visual creatures. What the fuck's the point? Also, y'all sound boring. Like, oh my god, this literally takes me no more than 10 minutes every time. And the amount of time I swear that people spend typing out comments about it is like longer than it actually has ever taken me to do my fucking makeup. Like, y'all do way too much. Yeah, makeup is an art. Do y'all know how long it took me to learn all this and do this and be able to do this, like, in a way where it looks good and matches my skin tone? Like, I literally have to mix like shades and tones together in order to make like my perfect palette. And it's honestly very satisfying every time. I'm not telling y'all to like makeup. I'm not telling y'all to like doing it. I use very little. It takes a very little amount of time out of my day, if any. And it's just genuinely something that's nice to do. Just like putting together a nice outfit just looks good. Why wouldn't I want to look good? I fear we have like conflated feminism with a lot of things it does not need to be conflated with. Like lack of, beauty and self-expression, lack of a cohesive look. I mean, would you tell Lady Gaga not to wear makeup? Would you tell Julia Fox not to wear makeup? Why? They're expressing themselves. Like, let's just calm down a bit. It's stressful. Honestly, like, y'all are acting like it's the only thing I ever do. Also, to all the people that are like, oh, we want like more content, this is how you get more content. Sovereign and I were just talking about this, and just the backbiting on the women's side gets really exhausting sometimes as a creator, because we're all going to have different opinions. We're going to be nuanced on some topics. I would never come into a woman's like live that wasn't doing makeup or wasn't wearing makeup and be like, why are you not wearing makeup? Don't you know it like would look so much better? Like, I don't do that, because I'm not a man. And sometimes women, when they're like critiquing other women's things, like just to actions, like just to flex on like how much more of a feminist you are, it just comes off stupid and petty. Like, I'm so sorry. You know what I mean? Like, it just comes off unnecessary. We need to accept that until we get it together, at least a little bit closer to how men act with each other with bro code and stuff, we're not going anywhere. I'm ready to go. Okay, I'm at the train station. I'm ready to board. And y'all are over here, oh, but you're doing your makeup. Who fucking cares? Get on the train. Get on the train and let's go. Oh, but you're anti this and you're pro this. Get on the fucking train. Do you want rights or not? Do you want, anything nice or not? Look at the men. This is why they have nice things and we don't. And you know who I get the most makeup comments from? Women. You would think it's men, but it's women. And the men's comments are like predictable and stupid, because it's like, oh, but look at you putting on makeup for men. Like, yeah, I don't have to explain that to y'all, but it's just very staggering when women pick that as a hill to like die on or to even comment on. Like, I don't know, y'all. that's the other side of like creating content for women. And like we just sometimes face the same exact problem as like Democrats versus Republicans, you know, because Republicans can really unite on one issue and take a stand, and that's why they're powerful ultimately. They're stupid, but they're powerful. I promise this will lead right into the topic. But because women are so much more evolved and we're able to think in nuanced ways, we're able to think past something stupid like bro code, and we think in terms of justice and nuance and gray areas and all this kind of stuff and how to best conduct ourselves, we end up getting into the weeds and we end up working against ourselves. You know, like I said, there's like so many women that are not gonna get on the train even though we're all ready to go, because they're like, yeah, but you said this, I can't even be in the same train car as you. Like, you guys, are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding? You can't be in the same train car as me to go get our rights? Like, don't be silly. This is silly behavior. Anyways, El Phoenix says, I don't think women out-evolved men. I believe women are the original gender and the source of all. Couldn't agree more. This is just another take on that same idea. I was actually going to basically kind of start there. The fact that we all start as a 2X chromosomes is very significant, because if you look at the development of babies when they come out of the womb, girls are typically 2 weeks further along in their development than boys are. Girls are also a lot less vulnerable in vitro, like when they're in the gestation period. And they also tend to catch up to milestones a lot faster than boys. So it does seem like, you know, Elle's point very much stands. Like, we are the original gender and the source. I also think that in a lot of ways we have beyond that out-evolved men, like with emotional intelligence, or with like, thank you, with our cooperation, you know. And I do think that women cooperate the most when it like really comes time to put the pedal to the metal, or like when it comes time to, you know, actually make a difference. So we're not like what I was talking about earlier. That would be us going backwards. Like, honestly, like us having something like bro code, that's going backwards for women. But we do also have to be aware of what we're dealing with on the men's side, if that all makes sense. Morgie says, what made you so emotionally intelligent about men? Experience. Love your vids. Thank you, Morgie. I experienced, but not in the way you would think. I didn't have a lot of experience with men until my dad came into my life, and he and my mom got married when I was about 8, and he is such a competent, amazing, wonderful man that it honestly came as a shock to me that most men are so god-awful. Like, I don't really know how to describe it. Like, my dad is an evolved man, if you would, you know, if you would indulge me. He's an evolved man. He's emotionally intelligent, like way ahead of his time, you know, as far as morals and things like that go. Like, he grew up in a village in Ukraine, and he never once made me or my mom feel like we were lesser than him or subservient to him because we're women. In fact, he's like very pro-woman. Again, just very much like not a beta like most men. He's not one of those submissive men. He doesn't just submit to whatever other men say. He like questions things for himself. My dad's like extremely kind and forgiving and productive, and just doesn't like ever blame anybody else for his problems. Just a wonderful guy. So imagine my shock when I go out into the world, you know, and start trying to interact with men. Like, I was shocked. Because I think a lot of women have a negative experience and it actually sets their bar low. I think it's the girls a lot of time that are raised by evolved men that will be able to spot the bullshit like faster. Does that make sense? Because it hasn't been normalized for us. Farmer Bean, if you love public, the episode is out now, so you can listen to it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, anything like that. All right, y'all, I'm like 100 comments behind. I question stuff too, but that's just the autism. I'm not most men. Yeah, I think I'm pretty neurodivergent too. I think public is also neurodivergent. I think a lot of us are neurodivergent in this space, to be honest. Yeah, not obsessed with social norms and roles. Oh, Casey, thank you so much. Casey says that was such a great episode of the podcast, by the way. Yeah, we love public. Love a man who is self-aware and makes other men's like education his business and not other women's business. I love that. I love that he doesn't speak for women. I love that he's very vocal about like the women he learns from, like how he came to question things, and he's like doing the dirty work. You know, I don't let men up here. I would never do what he does. I would never have the patience to sit here and talk to most men on their level, which is about 3rd grade, vocabulary, comprehension, reading skills, speaking skills. Like, I couldn't do it. Couldn't sit here and do it. Jamie says, when do you think women out-evolved men? Like, since the dawn of time. Because I think that adversity creates evolution, because adversity creates circumstances that strengthen you, right? And when you don't have adversity, which a lot of men are able to avoid because of male privilege, bro code, the fact that laws work for them and not against them, I think that when you're comfortable, you're not growing as much, right? Growth is uncomfortable. Now, men have made their life very easy. Young woman on here said about a week ago that marriage is DEI for men, which nothing's ever been more true, ever. No truer words have ever been spoken. So men have all sorts of DEI initiatives for themselves. It's like reverse DEI, right? Patriarchal hierarchy is one of those things. It makes it easier for men to sort themselves into categories. Now, why do men like to sort themselves into categories? I think it's because they inherently know that they are a lot more disposable to nature than women are. And because of that, men feel the need to always be trying to justify their existence. And by doing that, they oppress others. Because they're trying to make their existence necessary, men have started hoarding resources and money. And because of that, women have faced a lot of adversity. Sorry, I just can't get over the men crying in the comments. If you're projecting on me that I hate y'all, I hate to tell you this, y'all hate yourself. I'm just speaking facts from a woman's perspective, and y'all are making it about you. So that tells me several things. It tells me you're unevolved, tells me you're insecure, and it tells me that you can't like see causality. You don't understand the levels at which I'm speaking, right? The fact that women have always had to deal with, for example, a period. Men have not been able to, cis men have not been able to birth children. Cis men are also not like anybody's really natural prey. Cis men tend to be the predators. Women have historically been prey and literal like war spoils. What I'm trying to explain to people is that adversity. So, okay, for example, when you go to a workout class, do you feel good? Like while you're working out, like, do you feel like, because for me, like I've been working out consistently for like years now, like probably 7 years. What's never gotten easier is getting myself like excited to go to class. I'm never like super excited. I get there and it's hard. It's really, really hard. And the whole time I'm like, fuck, you know, like this is really hard. But when I come out of the class, how do I feel? I feel great. I have a surge of dopamine. My muscles are stronger. Literally, my posture is improving. My blood is flowing throughout my body, right? So even though I just dealt with something really difficult, I have gained something out of it, right? I've gained a dopamine boost. I've gained muscle mass and muscle strength. And I've gained probably several years of, you know, good health by doing all of this over a long period of time. This is what I'm talking about. Whenever you are growing, it's going to be painful. When you're doing like emotional work and emotional growth, it's going to be painful. Women are no strangers to pain. The moment that you hit puberty or whatever as a woman, you start experiencing all sorts of pain that you were not expecting and that you don't have to deal with if you're a cis man or a cis boy. You have period pains, right? You have premenstrual pains like back pains and, you know, chest pains and all those kinds of things. It's messy, it's ugly, you know, you have to deal with it every single month, right? That's adversity, right? That's something that makes you mentally stronger. And I know this is fact because, to bring it back to my workout class, when I go to my workout class, it tends to be like mostly women, but usually there's like a few men in there. The one thing I notice about the men is that they're mentally kind of weak. Like, they will be in there with the same weights as women, doing the same exercises. But for some reason, the women are all doing them nice and quiet, just focused, you know, whatever. And like 30 minutes into the class, which is not that long, all the men, literally all the men start going, and like grunting and like making so much noise for no reason, because they're like, oh, is everybody like really doing this? You know what I mean? And they are looking around like, oh my God, are the women still doing it? Like, yes, we are. Because you know what I have to go through every month? It fucking hurts. And I just have to sit there and deal with it. Yeah, I can do all the reps, do it without fucking yelling and grunting and straining like I'm about to die, you know? Yeah, men at Pilates nightmare, absolutely. Oh, I'm not talking about yoga, Alex. I'm talking about hot yoga sculpt. It's basically calisthenics and calisthenics exercises. Like today we did a bunch of push-ups, bear plank hop through, Turkish get-ups with a 10-pound weight. And the men were grunting and the women were doing it quietly. Yes, 6, 7, 1, 1, 2, 3. I was just about to get to that. When men versus women get sick, you can also tell that men are mentally and possibly physically weaker, because the flu, the cold, hits them like a ton of bricks every time. Whereas women will be still dealing with kids, making dinner, cleaning the house, just full on sick. Che, exactly. Also, men leave and cheat on partners with illness. That's a mental weakness, because you're looking around and you're thinking, uh-oh, nobody's gonna take care of me anymore. But what about me? I'm just a poor little boy. I need to go find a new mommy wife. And that's what it is. You're mentally weak. Also, like harassment in general. Men will come into my lives where I'm not even talking to men. Like, literally, I don't care about men's opinion. I know what most of y'all are like. And I don't really give a fuck what you think. And I make that very well known, and yet they're still in here because they're too mentally weak to realize that they just shouldn't be where they're not wanted. And they don't need to be where they don't agree. They like to feel like the victim, right? Whereas women, like, our spaces actually do get invaded by men all the time. Once again, the men in these comments, like, you're not welcome, and yet you're still here. Women don't do that to men because we're not mentally weak. We're like, whatever. The only time we've done that to men is when it has to do with resources, and we need our share of resources. When men do this with women just based on their ego alone, they're like, what do you mean we're not allowed in? What do you mean we can't be here? No, but I have an opinion. I have something to say. I literally don't care. Like, literally, we don't care. But men still insist on being present. And then the other thing that men do that they're notorious for is they cry harassment and misandry whenever women are just speaking truth, speaking amongst themselves about men. Men cry misandry. But whenever men sit around and talk about, you know, how terrible women are and how women are gold diggers and da-da-da-da-da, women are just like, okay, like, don't be with one then. Like, nobody is out here going into men's comments and like harassing them. Nobody's out here going into these men's lives and harassing them based on how they look and da-da-da-da. You know why? Because women are not emotionally weak. Men come in here and they try to insult me and all this stuff because they feel unnecessarily insulted by what I'm saying because they're insecure and weak. If it doesn't apply, fellas, let it fly. Let it fly. I mean, that's what I mean. You're mentally weak when you need validation from everybody. I'm literally a 33-year-old woman who has nothing to do with any of y'all. Y'all figure that I'm literally personally insulting each and every single one of you the way that you are fighting for your life in the comments. Oh, thank you, Ava. Yeah, grab a binky, please, from Ava. She's handing them out. Alex asks, is this not incredibly divisive? Alex, let me tell you what's incredibly divisive. What's incredibly divisive is the fact that every time women go outside, you and your fellow men threaten us and make us feel unsafe. That's pretty divisive. What else is pretty divisive? If you look up statistics like rape, assault, and DV statistics, the people committing those are over 95% men. That's pretty divisive, Alex. I also think it's pretty divisive that men have voted against our right. I think it's divisive that men have kept us out of the workplace. I think it's divisive that men all over the globe right now are keeping women, little girls, from getting educated, from having an education. I think it's divisive that men globally are trying and succeeding at marrying 12 and 13-year-olds. I think that's fucking divisive. And I think me sitting here talking shit in my life is not divisive. As much as I would like it to be, yet you are here. Yet you're in here. You know why? Because I'm not physically harming you and I'm not taking away your rights. That would be divisive. Does that make sense, Alex? I really hope it does. Yeah, y'all hate me because I speak the truth. I'm sorry. Like, and the people who say that I'm baiting, I'm not baiting. I fully, completely believe this with my whole heart, because look around at men. Look around at men. The fact that there was a whole trend of like where men couldn't wipe up a spill on the table, like y'all are telling me that women haven't evolved past y'all a long time ago. Look at women's emotional intelligence compared to men. Look at women's competence compared to men. Look at how quickly women caught up to men in the workplace, in school, everywhere, and tell me we haven't out-evolved. Like, we literally just got full right 50 to 70 years ago, like not even one human lifetime. And women are already out-earning men. There's more women in the workforce at this point than men. Women are more educated, homeowners at a higher rate than men. And women are the ones that don't want to get married. Whereas men all still want to get married. Out-evolved, y'all. That's what I'm saying. And once women really stopped needing to depend on men for resources, it was over for y'all right then and there. That's why y'all are trying to take us back to the 1920s or whatever, when women couldn't even vote. Hyde says, that's a lie now, LMAO. Women want to get married, not men. Hyde, let me ask you a question. When somebody's getting proposed to, who's usually doing that? Like when there's a proposal happening, is it the women getting down on one knee, asking a man to marry them, or... No, be for real for a sec. He says, I've never heard a man dream of getting engaged and married. Then why do y'all ask women to marry you 99.99999% of the time? If women wanted to marry y'all so bad, don't you think they would be proposing to you? It's the tradition. Why, Hyde? Why is it the tradition? Like, keep thinking. Do you see what I mean? Like, you see why you can't... This is what I mean when I say... out-evolve. Do you see how we have to work, how slowly we have to work with you, Hyde? This is what I'm talking about. Why is it the tradition? You haven't answered a single one of my questions, Hyde. And I'm the one reaching. Okay. Their mothers and grandmothers were never happy in their marriages and had no basic income. They stayed. Yep. Vic Mellons says, I love women, I love men. We have problems, it's not a war. Then why are y'all unaliving us at such a rate? Did y'all know that there's a femicide every 5 days just in the US? Every 5 days, a man unalives a woman just for being a woman. And y'all are gonna sit here and tell me it's not a war? It's a war. Y'all, when Orange Man won, y'all were saying your body, my choice to women. Y'all declared war on that day, as far as I'm concerned. We are at war. So fuck y'all. The fuck? Yeah, Alex, I am getting the views, aren't I? Hey, the audacity. Hi, twin. I genuinely love the title of your podcast. Thank you for speaking up on women's behalf. That explains it. You're a left. See what I mean? Like, learn to write at a 3rd grade level. Learn to write at a 3rd grade level. Well, like I know what you mean. It's just embarrassing that you can't express yourself in an adult way. Yeah, I'm on the left. That's why I'm smart. That's why you can't keep up with what I'm saying. You're barely out of school, and what do you really know about life? Nothing. You are more like a kindergarten. Yeah, I think I already said this today. I bet the men love to find out that I'm actually 33 years old. See, if y'all knew that, you'd be nagging me in a whole different way. Don't be mad though. Exactly, let go of the mermaid. I don't let men stress me out. And y'all shouldn't either. Honestly, their opinions mean absolutely nothing. They're fighting for their life because they're literally fighting for their life. Do you know what I mean? Like, they can feel it deep in their bone that nature doesn't need them for anything. That's why they have built these oppressive structures. It's in order to justify their existence. This is why they want to force women into marriage to oppress us. 33 with no ring. Baby, I've had a ring for 13 years. Married to a man who looks like a model. I know y'all are mad. I know y'all are mad. Nothing that you can insult women with applies to me. You can keep trying, but I promise you're not gonna get there, boys. And this is why I'm saying y'all need to evolve, because the tactics of whatever y'all are doing, it's not working. It's not working. Women don't need you. Yeah, exactly, J. Henry. The male loneliness epidemic, quote unquote, is because women don't need to settle anymore. Exactly. And I wish the men would stop coming in here and making this about themselves. If this is rage bait to you, then leave, because it's not rage bait to me. This is genuinely and honestly what I fucking believe. I believe that y'all got out-evolved a long time ago. That's why y'all hate women. That's why y'all are not nice to us. And that's why y'all feel the need to come in here and tear us down or tear me down. You know why? Because you know I'm right. I'm right. You wouldn't be biting at my ankles like a little beta bitch. You just, focused on yourself. Y'all are in here biting at my ankle. And it just, that's what beta wolves and beta animals do. So someone says, what about our sons, etc.? Each person have value. I am reading these verbatim just to give y'all, especially on YouTube, the idea of what we're dealing with here. I do think that each person has value. I just think that men are socialized. So the difference between like our sons and men is how they're being socialized out in the real world, and how the patriarchy is affecting them, and how most men will succumb to the patriarchy. That's really what it's about. And again, the patriarchy is going to make it so that men actually don't evolve. And the fact, like, think about this, even the fact that so many men are so eager and happy about DEI, like not being a thing anymore, that should tell you everything you need to know. Weak. Like, imagine spending years and years and years and years, telling women, telling people of other races that they're not good enough. And then, those people being like, well, okay, maybe we're not good enough. Let us try anyway. Let us try. And then as soon as those people like enter the workforce, you realize that not only are they not lesser than you, they're actually, once again, because of all the adversity that they've faced, they have actually outpaced you, and they had to do much more to prove themselves, and they're much better at your job than you, etc., etc. You are such a beta that you're like, get them out of here. Instead of viewing that like an alpha would as a competition, viewing that as a way to like better yourself, you're unwilling. Like, you can't even compete with people that you say are not better than you. You'd rather them just be gone. That's fucking pathetic. That's really, really weak. And at the same time, you're like, but take no fault divorce off the table for women so that they can't leave us either. Like, explain that. If you're so evolved, if you're such alphas, if men, if a white men are really best for everything, then how come y'all can't handle a little competition from people that are not even better than you? How come? How come we're not allowed to compete anymore? Think about it. So y'all are fucking mentally weak. That's what I'm saying. Alpha and women are not compatible. That's very interesting that you say that, Trayvon. I've only ever met women alphas. Whenever I see a woman walking around, a lot of times she has what can only be described as a pack around her that she's in charge of and that she's leading somewhere. Don't really see that with men. Don't really see that with men. At best, in a pack of men, there is one alpha. And one of them is going to be the alpha and the rest are going to be the betas, the followers, the copycat. And they will drive the same car as him. They're going to have the same hat as him. They're going to dress the same as him. That's how men do it. I've only ever seen women alphas, so I don't really know what you're talking about. I've never seen a man who was not a derivative of another man or a woman. Like, y'all are all very derivative. No new ideas of your own. Yeah, and they all repeat the same comment. Doreen, that's why. That's why. That's what I'm saying. They're betas. Like, they have no creativity. They just repeat whatever other men say. You know, men are not really alphas to me. I mean, look, to the men in the comments, I'm really trying to give y'all the benefit of the doubt and, like, argue with you in good faith. Just know that most of your comments either don't make sense. Like, I'm responding to the ones I can, which is like 3 out of 100. Y'all are in here completely illiterate. Like, there you go, 6, 7, 1, 1, 2, 3. This has to be rage bait is just admitting they can't think critically and react with anger. Exactly. 91 Irish man says, you do realize you're talking about your own husband. No, I'm not. I'm talking about you. That's why you're offended and he's not. That's why you can't handle 1 second of me speaking, and he watches all of my content to this day. I've always bragged about that, and I figured he would stop eventually. No, this man literally will pull up, like driving home, and I hear my voice blasting out of his fucking car speakers. Yeah, good men know they're not part of this narrative. That's what I'm saying. Like, go listen to our podcast episode with Public Offender. That's a man. I'm not talking about him. Brother Teresa asks, can you frame your own house? Y'all are so pathetic. You frame your own house. I'm Slavic. I can do anything. Jessica says, they'd be crying right now if they saw the earlier 125K live. I know they would. That's why I didn't even risk it again. Thank you, not Maven. Will says, can you drive though? No, I actually take a horse-drawn carriage everywhere, Will. We apparently live in the 1800s where you have to know how to frame your own house and women can't drive. Yeah, and to your point, Doreen says most men can't frame houses. Very true. Alex says, so you do believe in good men. I thought that would be obvious by my content. That's what I like. I'm so confused that men don't understand. Like, that's how unself-aware y'all are. Because to me, the fact that I make this type of content shows you that I know good men. That's why I have high standards for y'all. I don't hate y'all. I just have high standards for y'all because I know that it's possible, right? But when I look around at 99% of you, I think they're not evolved, because an evolved person would not need help, especially like most of y'all, from a woman that supposedly haven't out-evolved you, to evolve, to reach their potential. Somebody that was on the same level would be able to reach their own potential. Most of y'all need a woman to do that. Most of y'all will not reach your full potential as a man without a woman. Most of y'all do not see the point in life without a woman. That's what I'm saying, and you know why? It's because women out-evolved men. Women out-evolved men. That's why we live longer, especially when we're not with a man. And that's why we get hurt less. We have better health markers than men, unless we are next to a man, unless we're married to a man. You know why? Because y'all are not evolved. And when an unevolved being meets an unevolved being, what happens is they try to reach homeostasis. And the unevolved being brings down the evolved being a little bit. And the evolved being brings the unevolved being up. Does that make sense? That's why most men, until they meet their first like real girlfriend, will have no sense of style, no sense of hair, no taste in music, have been watching the same show on repeat for like 10 years. Y'all are pathetic without a woman. You ever seen what a man's house looks like without a woman's touch? It's a fucking lawn chair in the living room, TV on the floor, mattress in the bedroom, navy blue sheet. Y'all don't know how to cook. Y'all don't know how to clean. You just wait for a woman to come around and you expect me to believe that you're the evolved ones? On what grounds? On what basis? I know y'all are mad because it just got up to like 100 comments that I haven't read through. If women evolved men long ago, okay, so see, this is where, like, learn to type. So if women out-evolved men long ago, please tell me why they still can't do half the things men can. Like what? If y'all out-evolved us at any point, how come you still can't give birth? How come you still can't make a person? Evolved people know how to make a person. That's also why I say women are alpha. You know what alpha means? It means the beginning. Who gives beginnings between men and women? Who is the only ones that can give a beginning? Not cis men. Not cis men. Yeah, see, that's why they're like Miss Andry on full display. I'm just telling y'all the truth about, it's not Miss Andry. It's just true. Yeah, because taste in music correlates to evolution. Gary, this is what I'm talking about. See? Literally does. Taste in music literally does correlate to evolution. And it's so funny to me that this is not clear to y'all. Taste in music absolutely correlates to evolution. Of what evolution is among animals is different ways of making music, you dumbass. Have you ever heard of a bird? You ever heard of a whale? You ever heard of like fucking grasshopper? Music is evolution. What the fuck? All of y'all saying terrible examples. Go at where? What terrible examples? Y'all really think most men are living in like a nice house and have like a sense of decor, have a sense of furniture, have clean sheets, have more than one set of sheets, have a roll of toilet paper in their bathroom right now? Honestly. And if all those things are the case, he's living at his mom's house. There are dozens of jobs that women don't do or have never done. Working on the oil rigs, dozens. I cannot tell. Genuinely, sometimes men, like, I can't tell if this person is being like facetious or dead serious, but if you're being facetious, that's very funny. And if you're being serious, ladies, we can only laugh at this point. That's all we can do. We can just laugh. Hyde says, so men have to be able to give birth in order to be on the same level as women. I mean, yeah. I mean, look, this is why y'all fight wars over women, because we're valuable. Y'all are not valuable to nature. I get on this soapbox so often, and like, I know men hate to hear it, but y'all are not valuable to Mother Nature. She does not give a fuck. Women are more likely to miscarry a male fetus in times of stress. For example, in most animal packs, there's only one male. Do you know why? Because they make the others fight until most of them are unalived, and only the strong ones survive. And you know why Mother Nature doesn't do anything about that? 'Cause she doesn't give a shit. Y'all are expendable, both to nature and to other men. Like, the only people that you're not expendable to are women, which is really funny. Like, your mothers and the women that love y'all. And y'all do those people dirty all the time. So y'all are literally unevolved. You are ill-equipped for survival, because the only people that have ever wanted to help y'all out are women. Other men just want to screw you over. Nobody will cheer louder for you than other men when you're about to blow your life up. Cecilia Regina said this one day and it blew my fucking mind wide open. She was talking about Tom Brady specifically and how all the men were like cheering him on to divorce Giselle, his wife of like over 20 years that he had raised multiple of his children while he played football and stuff. And they had a deal that he promised her, like, okay, after X amount of years, I'm going to retire and I'm going to spend time with you and the kids. And you know who was cheering him on the loudest to blow up his family? Was all the men on the internet. Oh, he's the GOAT. He's the GOAT. And you know what? Instead of retiring in a blaze of glory, he retired in a blaze of being a motherfucking loser. But yeah, long story short, men do have to be able to give birth in order to be on the same level as women. Otherwise, y'all are expendable and we're not. To all the men that are going to say, oh, men built society, no, you didn't. The society is not built of little buildings and stuff. Y'all built the buildings. Women built society. Society is made up of people. Yeah, good men are misandrist, says the Haitian hipster. I completely agree. Brandon says, why do you think more evolved people are more attracted to men? That's a good question. I don't think they are. That's the thing. I think very few women are genuinely attracted to men. My dumbass being one of them, honestly. to be honest, the more I've gotten to know men, the more asexual I become. You know, so it's more like if it weren't for my husband, I'd probably be asexual. And I think most women are to that point. So I actually don't think that's true. I think if you're looking at comp het, absolutely a lot of women are attracted to men, but then a lot of women also go on record and say, if I didn't have to share a bedroom with my husband, I wouldn't. A lot of women don't share a bedroom with their husband and prefer it that way. A lot of women say, if I didn't have a house with my husband, I wouldn't, and so on and so forth. So I think as women have been freed of the shackles of, you know, marriage, keeping them bound to men, we've actually seen that they're not that attracted to men. They're really not. And they're way less likely to remarry than men are. Men are two times more likely to remarry. Women are 2 times less likely to remarry if their first marriage doesn't work out. So I actually don't think that's true. Mimi says, men will always listen to other men, even when it comes to their own girlfriends, wives, daughters. Yeah, that's beta behavior. Blissful says, I'm straight and I find more women attractive. Like, objectively, yeah, like, you know, as far as how, you know, men and women clean up, I'm way more fascinated looking at women. Like, it's always more fun. That's what I mean. Like, for people like telling me not to do makeup and stuff, no, fuck you. I like to look good. And I like it when other women look good. I think that gives us an edge. And I think that eventually men will wear makeup too. Because they used to. I don't really see what the big fucking deal is. Men used to be fun. Men used to wear like pantaloons and like matching sets, and like they used to wear little heels and stuff, and like wigs and makeup and all that. The good old days, you know, take us back. Yeah, user 549581 says, this right-wing administration is working hard to reverse your evolution. Now, you sound like you're saying that fully serious, but that is exactly what I'm trying to tell y'all. It is because we out-evolved y'all so quickly that the government sees a need to once again assign every man a woman. You know why? Because y'all are falling behind. Like, listen to me. Y'all are falling behind. That's why the government is like, okay, we'll take no-fault divorce off the table. That's why they're seriously considering that shit, because without the presence of women, men devolve. They devolve. Because I don't know if y'all remember, back when there was the other big recession in America in 1929, there was a lot of gangs that were all made up of men. And so the government actually had a contract with Disney that they would fund romantic movies to sort of, you know, brainwash women into marriage again. And, you know, they started like hiring less women for jobs. And like once all the men came back from war, that was all because men refused to evolve when women are not around. And all that women are ever trying to do is evolve away from the men. Like, we're always trying to go our own way, and the men are always like, why? Why do y'all need us so bad? If y'all are evolved yourself, if y'all are alphas yourself, go your own way. And only deal with women that want to deal with you. But that's the problem, is that most women don't want to deal with y'all, and y'all hate that. Y'all hate being decentered. And in nature, that's how it should be. Most men in nature, most males in nature don't reproduce. Only the best. Only the best do. Nature is naturally hypergamous, and men hate that. That's why. Lady O says, if women evolved, why women not in charge? I just explained to y'all why. Al says, I wish you could make these claims in an Islamic country. They need you there, girl. That's why I'm saying, like, that's why they literally need to silence us. Because they are afraid of the progress that we constantly make without them. And they're afraid because they, without us, do not make progress. Boom. Like, that's what I'm telling you. The fact that, like, most people are like, oh, my boy's not married yet. You know, I'm really worried about him, really concerned. Yeah, that boy's never going to leave your basement. And everything that they, like, threaten women with, that's actually forced on women, right? So when they used to say, like, oh, you're going to have, like, a old daughter, you know, you're going to grow old with your parents or whatever. Well, that used to be an actual threat because, Like, yeah, once your parents unalive as a woman, you had no other way to make a living. And once women did find ways to make a living and became like literal spinsters, like they would spin fabric, men started calling them spinsters as an insult to further marginalize single women. But why do you need to do that? Why do you need to do that if single women by themselves, like, don't present a threat? They're just making their own money, spinning their fabric. They're not out here unaliving men. They're not out here graping men. They're not out here, harassing and threatening men. Why can't y'all leave us alone? Because you're unevolved. That's what I'm fucking talking about. You can't leave people alone because you have not evolved past your fear and past your animal instincts. Women have. Women are people. Women are human beings. Men live in denial of their humanity and of the humanity of others. Therefore, they're unevolved and women aren't evolved. That's why men are constantly trying to drag us back to a certain type of time. If you were evolving, you would be moving forward with no fear, no threat, no complaining, not all of this bitching that you're doing. You would be moving forward. You would take the challenge and you would say, okay, this is what we're doing now. The best part is nobody's forcing you to do anything. Like, again, women just want their rights. They just want their peace. They just want an income. They just want to be able to make it on their own. And that threatens men. That threatens men. Why? Think about it. Why does that threaten men? It says, need help shopping, cleaning, cooking, caring for children, living life. Exactly. There was a man on TikTok the other day screaming in his car about how he just needs a wife. He just needs a woman to do everything else so that all he has to do is go to work for 40 hours a week. Tell me how that's different than a teenager saying, like, all I want to do is just go to school for 8 hours a day. Like, no, baby, you're an adult. You have to learn how to live life. Otherwise, you're not going to be a good partner. How come you expect to get together with a woman who knows how to do everything and you know how to do nothing other than your job that pays you? That means you're not going to value her skills. That means also that you're not willing to evolve past the point that you're currently at. Once again, to the men in the comments, the moment one of y'all can word a grammatically correct comment, then we can talk. Y'all are in here typing gibberish because I'm presuming you're so mad. Your little fingers are shaking. Steady your hand. Think about what you want to say and then type it. Don't start typing as don't just start typing. Think about what you want to say. Think about whether it makes sense and then type it. As I'm looking in here, just a bunch of word salad. Okay. Oh my God. Seriously, it's like reading word soup, like alphabet soup in the comments. Yes, Wanda, that Disney shit was intentional. That's what I'm saying. It was intentional. As men need DEI. Marriage is DEI for men. God bless that young woman who said that. Marriage is DEI for men. AD says, most women avoid discomfort. How? I avoid discomfort once every single month. Every single month I have to face extreme discomfort. How am I avoiding that? Y'all are fucking crazy. Women give birth. What do you mean women avoid discomfort? It's men that avoid discomfort. A woman will give birth and her husband will literally complain about how he had to sleep on an uncomfortable cot in the hospital room. Women avoid discomfort? Women will give birth and men will be like, oh, I can't have schmex for 6 weeks. Dawn says, can you explain how men don't make progress without women? You ever seen a single man's apartment? That's what I mean. Versus a married man's house. You ever seen a man who's never had a girlfriend before and what his wardrobe and hair and shoes look like? But give him a year or two with a baddie and he's going to be a whole different man. That's what I mean when I say that. Oh, there you go. Daria, you got him. Yeah, red pill culture is making men lonely. Well, red pill culture is men go their own way, isn't it? Surprise! Ding, 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 that's the bell or whatever. Like, that's your red flag. It says men go their own way and then they're surprised that they're lonely. Male loneliness epidemic. Women help. No, I don't care. I don't give a shit that men are lonely. Yep, boondocking in the US has men desperate to be relevant but do nothing to provide value in relationships. Manny says they want dictatorship, not partnership. Exactly. Lima says that's why they are trying to ban schmorshmortion. They want us to be locked down with children. Yep, want us to be miserable like them. I have not seen the Gabby Petito documentary, and honestly, I probably never will because I hate true crime documentary. It goes to my point that men are copycats and they're not evolved, because we've had this sentiment already in the chat. I love women, I got nothing against them. Men can't live without women and vice versa. Women can't live with y'all. Women can't live with men. That's what I'm talking about. Every 5 days, there's a femicide in the US. We can't live with y'all. Okay? 96% of all violent crime is committed by men. Stop trying to equate us. We are not the same. This is what I mean by one of us has out-evolved the other. Because one of us is still acting like an animal. And the other ones of us are trying to act like human beings. And it's backfiring on us because y'all keep dragging us back. And this is what I mean. Like, the men get their fucking boxer briefs in a bunch, and now my life is restricted. Like, good. Hopefully that means less troll men will be able to find it. Kind of love it, actually. It's going to be exclusive now. All these dumbasses. Thank you. Women can be misogynistic too. It hurts men and women, period. Yeah, I agree. Undead Fetus says that's all they do, give birth. After that, worthless. Yeah, sounds like you don't even know how to give birth. So how much more worthless are you? Kiara says women are still out here trying to date y'all. What do you mean they avoid discomfort? Like, queen, thank you. Yes. Mimi says marriage benefits men, and yet they're the ones who act as though it's some difficult thing to do. Exactly. They're also the ones asking women to marry them. That's why I'm like, what do you mean women want to get married more than men? Don't be crazy. Hey, thank you. No one cares said, thank God. Thanks, y'all. Thank God Trump is fixing the divorce shit. No more 50-50. This is what I mean. Unevolved. Only an unevolved creature would try to trap another creature. Like, do you see what I'm saying? It's like very basic level thinking. Rather than live with a little bit of discomfort and try and make themselves better, men will literally just oppress other people. Like, that's easier for them. Yeah, Trump's wife don't like him in public. Exactly. Okay, what do women build or invent to advance humans? Like, literally everything, and men take credit for it. That's why y'all don't want us to have a voice. That's what I'm talking about. Like, when you look at men's like inventions, even take men's favorite movie of all time, possibly Star Wars. Do you know that movie was a piece of shit? Do you know that George Lucas was never gonna release Star Wars because he thought it was a piece of shit? And then his wife sat down and, edited it, and the way that she changed everything around made it a fucking masterpiece. Cloud, thank you so much. Cloud says your content is so helpful to so many. I really hope so. He asked about inventions and you're talking about Star Wars. Okay, ladies, drop it in the chat. What have women invented? A black woman was the reason we went to space. How about that? A woman invented the mRNA vaccine. A woman did, these are just ones I can think of off the top of my head. There was a woman that did a bunch of like really incredible DNA research, which is the whole reason why we know anything about DNA. Also, a lot of women have worked to undo the mistakes of men. Like, men will say something wrong and confident, and women will be like, let me take a look at that. And then turns out it's like a whole different thing. That happens all the time too. DL the Oracle says marriage is a trap. It's a trap for women. Yeah. Yep. Heal Yes says choosing oppression over gaining EQ is wild. I agree. Here you go. Security system, chemotherapy, 3D. A woman was the first ever to write a computer code. I hope you butthurt little boys are listening. Fire escape, home security system, voice over internet protocol. So like the reason y'all can hear me. Thank you so much for that, Pawnee. Computer algorithms, women create live. Yep. Demi Baby says every single person alive right now. Tulip says life rap. True, exactly. The DNA double helix shape. That was a woman. The first computer, central heating, tampons, caller ID, windshield wipers, the refrigerator. A woman was the architect behind Franklin Lloyd Wright. I know that's right. FaceTime technology, radioactivity research, Wi-Fi, that's right. Lady O says, everything you mentioned would be branched off from male advancements. Every single one of those men was made by a woman. And Daria says, exactly. Imagine how much more women could have done if we had equal rights. Fiber optics. Yep. Oh, you guys got him already. You sniped him before he even got there. Yeah, so many inventions we'll never know because of men. Sebastian says, being a woman does not equal successful, same as being a man does not equal successful. I agree only with one part of that. I do think that being a woman does equal successful. I think women go through too much adversity in life, from even just our own nature, to not be at least somewhat successful. Sorry, hard disagree. I think all women are amazing, and I think most men are unremarkable. We do disagree there. I don't believe we can be equated. And that's the whole premise of my life. Women out-evolved men long ago. We're not equal. We are not. Being a woman does equal success because we're oppressed around every corner. Brandon says, you think most MAGA women are amazing. They're more amazing than their male counterparts. I think they're dumb, but they're still amazing. A lot of them have given birth, which I think is amazing. A lot of them still face oppression. They live in a world that wasn't created by them. I think that's amazing. Oh, my favorite subject. So what about women who are serial killers? Name them. Who are they? JW says, you're a white woman in America. What suffering do you have? LMAO. On the one hand, I do have white privilege. On the other hand, I can't go outside at night because of men. I've been harassed by men. I've been essayed by men. So, yeah. Women invented agriculture. Amazing, of course. Without a male, wouldn't have gave birth. I read that verbatim, by the way, just to give you all an idea of who you're dealing with. Luckily, I don't think this man here could find his way to reproduce, thankfully for all of us. But sometimes they do reproduce. That's why they need marriage as DEI. That's why in a lot of countries, women are oppressed to the point where they have to depend on and rely on a man. Because most men want to speak at a kindergarten level, have a kindergarten level vocabulary and grammatical sense. They still feel entitled to a woman's womb. And they still feel entitled to a woman's time and presence. So Ducals, thank you for Googling those female serial killers. Now go ahead and look up what they were doing and why. Who they were unaliving and why. And also the fact that you can count all the women serial unalivers on one hand or two hands is already proof enough. Because if I asked you to name off all the male serial unalivers, it would take you maybe years. Like, I definitely wouldn't be alive for that long. Oh, there you go, Manny. Manny says, explaining consent and needing it broken down is how women are more evolved. Exactly. Sebastian says, any human can be crazy. Okay, then why is it mostly y'all? Why is it mostly men? Any human can, but why is it mostly men? Unevolved. Women in male fields, exactly. Serial unalivers. Women in male fields. Exactly, Daria. Men's prison population, exactly. Overwhelmingly men. Yep, Wanda says women usually don't violate animals or corpses either. Exactly. A lot of funeral homes hesitate to hire men. Unevolved to the point that they will F a corpse. Like, not all men, but enough men that funeral homes hesitate to hire them. Prefer not to hire them. Not all men, but enough men for that. There you go, Lego. Women invented investigative journalism. Ida B. Wells. Of course. And just to give credit where credit's due, black women invented, like, mostly everything. Some of our biggest achievements and accomplishments are because of black women. Like going to space and things like that. And women's suffrage. That wouldn't have happened without black women. And then white women left them at the very last moment. Ducals says, we are animals. I think you're worse. I think you're worse than animals. I do agree that we're animals. I think men have actually devolved, like, to before animals. Animals are much better to each other than men are to each other and to women and children as a result of that. Animals are a lot nicer to each other. especially to their own, like, species, you know? Obviously, some animals are predators, but never against their own kind. Yeah, Nicole, animals are not committing G-side. Exactly. Yeah, Manny says to even have to explain empathy is odd if you're a human, allegedly human. Exactly. Doreen says animals actually have empathy. Exactly. Saya says our bodies were even used to further our knowledge of women's reproductive systems. I'm assuming you mean black women, but yeah. Sebastian says, LOL, sharks have cannibalism all the time, and plus praying mantises. Yeah, we really should take an example from praying mantises, ladies. Y'all should look that up. And yeah, Paige says male animals doing way more most of the time too. Yep. Yeah, Mimi, at least male animals know their roles exactly. Brandon asks, how can men be less evolved if we get half our genes from our mothers? Culture, testosterone? I don't think it's testosterone. I have friends that are trans men that testosterone does not make them a degenerate human being. So no, it couldn't have been that. It's definitely culture. It's definitely the fact that boys are excused away all the time. And boys are given sort of easy ramps in society. Girls are told, you know, boys will be boys. He's just teasing you because he likes you. Oh, he didn't know any better. Oh, your husband is a useless, incompetent piece of shit, because that's just how men are. Men are given this excuse that somehow bad at everything, and that's okay, but they're also better than women. And so that causes you not to evolve. That causes you to stay the same. It causes you to stay in the place where you first heard it. Men are made excuses for by everyone in society, including women, which is really unfortunate. Hey, Peyton. Yeah, Peyton says red pill culture increased, so we see an increase in horrible men. It's the culture. I also think corn contributes to this a lot. Privilege, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, privilege is only going to make you weaker. If every time I went to my hot yoga sculpt class, if my instructor came up behind me the whole time and to lift my arms, and, you know, when I'm doing a plank, they're just holding me. When I'm doing a handstand, it's because somebody's, you know, putting me up into a handstand. Am I actually learning how to do those things? Like, am I going to be good at those things when I leave class? Have I built muscle? Am I stronger? Those are the questions you need to ask yourself. You know, if your mom is the only reason that you eat, you know, or your wife or your girlfriend's the only reason that you eat. Otherwise, you would go to Taco Bell and somebody else would do all the work of cooking for you. Or you would just order Postmates or whatever. Then you don't know how to live on your own. If the only way you're able to get things is when somebody else does it for you, and you don't actually possess those things, you don't actually possess those skills. In our society, it's only women that are expected to have all those skills. Men are not. Therefore, you're less evolved. You all are literally, when you look at your fine motor skills, it's actually kind of horrifying. Watching a man try to clean up a spill, you have no idea how the physics of things work. That's what freaks me out, is it's like, you know, somebody was talking about men putting on chapstick and stuff, and it's just like this. Or, you know, men washing their face, and it's like, you just have like no fine motor skills. Even your like other motor skills are just not that great. Patty Cake says, yeah, and nowadays women have to both provide and take care of the house and kids. Exactly, because we're the alphas. Men could never. That's why I'm saying, like, just being a provider does not make you an alpha. Just being a man does not make you an alpha. I know that's what you want to believe, but you have to look at the actions. You have to look at the trends. The way that women act, they exhibit alpha behavior more so than men. The way that men act, they exhibit beta behavior more so than women. If you look at the large scale, that's what I mean. And let me really quick before I go get into some other ways in which we can tell women are more evolved. We were talking about this while we were recording the podcast last night with Sovereign and I were chatting about this. Spirituality, laws, rules, schools, all those things were invented for men because men are weaker and less evolved than women. When women like school themselves or whatever, they were called witches. Women have always been able to learn things just by observation. Men needed to be sent to school. Does that make sense? Eventually that turned into oppression because men not only took away our ability to learn, but they also, invented these new ways of learning and moving about the world. And again, women were able to catch up and outpace the men in those skills in no time. I'm saying like women used to always be able to learn. Women are naturally curious because they're very evolved. The reason they say that octopi are very evolved, they're almost as evolved as humans, because they're very curious. The biggest marker of intelligence is curiosity. Men are not naturally curious, so that screams to me less evolved. And that's why men need to be told how to do things. They're not naturally going to be like, oh, let me figure it out. Don't tell me. Let me be surprised. No. They're like, where, how much, when. You have to do it once. Do I have to do it twice? Like, it's all questions. It's no curiosity. It's just bird feed it to me, And so that's why y'all need schools. That's why y'all need religious spaces. That's why y'all need, sports and athletics to all be like, a little hierarchy and a competition and stuff like that. And that's why y'all need the military. Men are less evolved. That's why they need to be educated en masse, That's why they need to be told what to do. Women don't. Like, women have always done their own thing. Nobody, gets a bunch of like pregnant women together on a regular basis. And I mean, they should, but nobody really does this. And just to tell them how to take care of a baby. Like, women have to figure that shit out. You get sent home from the hospital, like, baby in hand, and just figure it out. Men could never. No One Cares says the military is so we don't get invaded. By whom? Who would send their men to invade? Would that be a woman? Would a woman send other women's children to war? That's what I'm trying to explain to y'all. Is like, y'all are unevolved. That's why we still have to have armies. And that's why the army needs to incentivize people to join. Tamim says, I don't think you understand how nature works. Every male alpha has a female alpha. That's not true. In nature, females are typically bigger. In nature, it is males that have to impress females. In nature, it is females that sometimes unalive men when they're done having schmecks with them. I don't know if your thinking adds up, Tamim. Sorry. Sebastian says the act of asking a question is curiosity. This is what I mean. Once again, men are one-track minded. Uncurious, unevolved. The act of asking a question is not curiosity. The act of figuring something out is curiosity. The act of wanting to figure something out. Also, the act of asking a question, like hypothetically, yes, that's curiosity. Men are not asking these questions hypothetically. They're asking direct questions. They're trying to not discover the information themselves. They want women to tell them how to do it. And then they further show that they're a beta because a lot of men will ask you what to do, how to do it, when to do it, how many times to do it. And when you lay all that out for them, what else do? They can't even obey the orders. They're like, yeah, but you want me to do it your way. Okay, well, is your way better? No. Is the counter still wet after you wiped it? That's why I told you to do it that way. And y'all put women further in the alpha role. You further entrench us in the alpha role when you act like that's what I'm talking about. There's different kinds of questions. Do you see that, Sebastian? Right? Like, I could sit here and ask you right now, oh, is your name Sebastian? Is your name really Sebastian? Oh, is the act of asking a question really curiosity? Because that's how y'all talk to women. So yeah, it explains why you think that. You need to think beyond the simplistic. Yeah, can't even be a competent Instacart shopper. Like, don't even have the curiosity of like, are they really out of stock of this? No. Just want to move on. All right, I'm Medea B says, what advice would you give women who truly desire marriage but only meet incompetent men? Invest in yourself. Invest in yourself. The answer is to decenter marriage and to really understand that you you can be both. You can be everything you need. You know, like Cher said, Mom, I am the rich man. I don't need to find a rich man to marry because I am the rich man. You probably won't find a competent man. That's what I mean. Like, until you really truly give up on it and become completely unimpressed by and decenter most men, they are betting. Because here's the thing. The men, they're betting that their cooperation in this regard is going to keep the bar low for all of them. And they're hoping that women will get desperate enough to lower their standards. Why? Because they refuse to evolve, right? The proof is in the pudding, right? The title adds up with real life. I've seen so many men just on TikTok telling women how women need to settle because there's not enough good men to go around. They know this. They know the truth. They're saying the quiet part out loud. So you need to understand that men just have a better union than women. They hold strong to each other and they keep the bar low. And that's why you're probably not going to find a man, because they're keeping each other from evolving too. They can't keep us from doing it, so they keep each other from doing it. That's what the patriarchy is. It's a tool of mass devolution for men. Mass devolution. How do you deal with loneliness though? Loneliness for women is just boredom. I'm fully convinced of that. Like, the reason you feel lonely is because you're not listening to yourself. You're not paying attention to yourself. I have never really been made less lonely by my marriage. Does that make sense? My marriage is awesome because I don't use it as a way to not feel lonely. I don't feel lonely. And, you know, here's the thing. I grew up as an only child, so I get it. Like, maybe my experience is just different. I've never felt lonely a day in my life. My marriage is awesome because we give to each other out of the overflow of our own self and of our own being, right? So I'm secure in myself, my husband's secure in himself, and out of that we can co-create. Neither of us is lonely. Neither of us would be lonely without the other. Does that make sense? That's what I'm trying to get women to understand, is your loneliness is just a physical or mental signal that you are not in your creative. You're not fulfilling your own purpose. Okay? Because to claim loneliness as a woman, you know, it kind of goes against everything we believe, especially about the male loneliness epidemic, right? It's like nobody has to be lonely at all. Like, at the end of the day, and at the end of your life, the only person you're going to have is yourself. At the beginning, you only had yourself, and at the end, you're only going to have yourself. Loneliness is not really an option. You have your own company. And so you just have to make yourself fun to be around. Does that make sense? Because a lot of times people are like, oh, I don't have a partner or a friend or something like that to do things with. Thank you. To do things with or whatever, so I just won't do them. That's self-inflicted. That's self-inflicted loneliness. And that is only going to make you more lonely because you're essentially like turning to your inner child, being like, hey, like, fuck off. I don't want to deal with you. You're never going to feel good about yourself. Tamim, you're killing it in the chat. He says, define competent men. He's just proven my point over and over and over again. Why do you need me to define it for you? Thought y'all were evolved alphas. Define competence for yourself. This is why, like, y'all think you're gonna do a gotcha with women. Oh, define competent man. You're such a beta. You don't know what a competent man looks like. That's why I feel bad for y'all. Yeah, exactly, Demi. They walk right into it every time. Every single time. All right, Medea says, I'm a scientist. I have hobbies. I have girlfriends. I just find it hard to decentralize men. Hate that. I know it's a work in progress, right? And honestly, one of the best ways to decenter men is like, try talking to them, like try dating them. You know, I wish that wasn't actually dangerous advice to give you, because like I said that as a joke, but now I'm legit like, well, I don't know, maybe don't. But, you know, I would also say try cutting out. The reason I think I don't center men like that in my life is because I grew up like vehemently against, oh, that's beautiful, thank you. Reason that I don't think I've centered men historically in my life is because I've been vehemently against like romance propaganda my whole life. And I don't know if it's just the autism or whatever, but I refused to watch any Disney princess movies when I was growing up. The only movies I watched as far as cartoons, I can name on like one hand. I watched Lion King a lot. I watched Balto, about the dog who like gets a bunch of medicine and stuff for the children dying of polio. And like Monsters Inc. and Shrek. Shrek was like the closest I ever came to watching a princess movie. And I hated it. I hated that she had to turn into a swamp creature. And I was like, see, that's what marriage is like. You find a swamp creature and then you turn into one yourself. And I hated rom-coms. I still don't like them to this day. Like my husband has like educated me a little because he grew up with a ton of sisters. So he's very well versed in rom-coms. But every time we watch them, I'm like, see, this is why like I don't want women to watch this shit. Like, Dukel says that's not the meaning behind the story. No, I know that's not the meaning. I'm just saying that's how I perceived it because I wasn't fed a bunch of romance propaganda. I wasn't like, oh, that's so romantic. I don't think that's romantic. I think he should have stepped up and met her where she was at. She was a baddie. And you see it happen way too much. That a woman will find a swamp creature and then next thing you know, she has let herself go and the swamp creature. Cecilia Regina has actually a really great breakdown of the Shrek saga with all that. We're on the same page with that. I think that's a great way to decenter men and romance in your life is to try giving yourself a cleanse from all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, romance has portrayed men in very unrealistic ways, exactly. And all that matters is like the happy ending. And so even shows that seem progressive as far as romance, like Nobody Wants This, that new show on Netflix, I hated it because I don't think it's romantic. Yeah, that's because men write the romance movies. Exactly. So they set the bar at like the bare minimum. Yeah, read Women Who Run with Wolves, great book for decentering men. So yeah, just try and decenter romance media from your life. Or if you do, then watch it with a very critical eye and be like, would I really want that, or are they just trying to make it seem like it's not a big deal, or it is a big deal, or whatever, you know? Pride and Prejudice is insane too. See, I spared myself all of this. I never seen no Pride and Prejudice. I never seen no Atonement. Never seen no I didn't watch Titanic when I was little. I never watched I didn't watch, what's that one movie, that Christmas movie everyone loves? Not You've Got Mail. The one with Andrew Lincoln being like, I love everything about you or something. Did I watch Toy Story? No. And I still don't like Toy Story. Love Actually, yeah, thank you. I didn't watch Love Actually till this year. And I hated it. Like, the fuck? These movies are crazy. They're literally made to normalize being a pick-me, and they're made to normalize the bare minimum for men. So yeah, that would be my biggest advice. And just know that, yeah, Demi, it's horrendous. Dukel's Toy Story is sick if you're a boy. It's just like another example of how we center men. I didn't like it. It's all about boys. And listen, women can enjoy these movies. You know how many women love Love Actually? How many women love, you know, these crazy romance? Like, it's fine. Ah, Tia, that's funny. Yeah, you can enjoy whatever you want. Listen, I don't care. I'm just saying Toy Story never interested me because I used to center myself as a little girl. And I used to be like, I don't want to be a princess, so I'm not going to watch these princess movies. And I don't want to watch movies like all about boys, so I didn't watch movies all about boys. I liked Monsters Inc. because Boo was kind of the main character, like, not the main. Yeah, there's cowgirls. That's what I mean. It's like, yeah, there's cowgirls. And what do? You know? I don't know. I didn't like it. I didn't like the vibe I got from it. How do I feel about fantasy romance? Never read it. I don't think men act like that. Never seen a man act like that. Yeah, Studio Ghibli. Love that stuff. That stuff's great. Yeah, I wish women would unite too, but yeah, someone somewhere will always accept the crumbs. That's very true. All right, y'all, that's all I got for today. Please make sure you listen to the podcast and find our Patreon if you want an awesome, lovely community that's like engaging and having deep conversations. I love it in there. We're having fun. I think I'm gonna write both of the blogs this week, so keep an eye out for that. Practicing for starting my Substack. Thanks for being here, y'all. Love you. See you next time. Mwah.